Welcome to the Yorkshire Canine Academy Caffeine and Canines podcast. I'd just like to thank Culture Coffee for making us the world's best dog training coffee. A couple of cups of it here.
The world's greatest.
The world's greatest coffee. We've not done a podcast in over a year now. So we've had some logistical changes since then. But hey ho, here we are. We're going to try and answer all the common questions that we get asked on a daily basis so we can basically be efficient in answering them and not do it one by one. I don't know. Anyhow, we've got a question sent in, and it's a question that we get asked a lot during consultation, so we thought we'd just answer it here. It's, hello, up until about 7 months, my dog had perfect recall. He's now coming up to a year old, has completely gone out the window. He completely ignores me every time he's off lead. Help. And there's something we, I don't know, weekly,
Multiple
daily?
times. Yeah, both in person and through inquiry channels.
Yeah. The number one reason this happens, what do you think?
Off the lead too early.
Off lead too early? Why does that create that?
Essentially, it teaches the dog it is optional and that they can do better stuff. Unfortunately, we're not always the pièce de résistance to our canines in a given environment. So at some point, you've got to devalue those things rather than upvalue yourself, because you're going to reach a point, or for me, you're going to reach a point where you max out your value. You can make yourself very valuable. You can be a good funnel of reinforcement. You can have toys, food.
Means and a way to do that and play with reinforcement schedules to get that, I guess. But particularly when predatory drives kick in and there's an option to chase there.
Spaniels.
Yes.
Half spaniels.
Whippets.
Yes.
Yeah, all sorts. I think a lot of puppy owners allow their dog's social drive to carry them up until that point where they
definitely.
they have that bit of dependence on the owners.
Safety and comfort.
Yeah, and then they start getting a bit more confident, get a bit more explorative, start finding it's like a young lad, isn't it? He turns 15.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. He's feeling cigarettes and birds and all the rest of it, and he's staying out a bit later.
A little bit longer for me ago, and
and then they can start driving and
and you have options, don't you?
You have options there, and we seek reinforcement elsewhere, and then that's where rules need to come in place, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think what a lot of people make or create in that process is they create a lead-wise dog. Because when the dog starts running off, the dog then has to go back on a long line and goes, okay, I'm no longer allowed to run off, but the thing that has changed is I've gone back on this lead, which makes getting rid of the lead a much longer process than if they had not have taken off the lead in the first place.
Yep.
So I think a lot of people need to be carrying that long line or making sure that long line stays on their dog until they've gone through that maturity, because you don't know when they're going to test those boundaries and start, okay, well, maybe I was unsure of the dogs over the last couple of months, but maybe if I go and say hello to this dog, let's see what happens, and they have fun, they have a play around, and then hey ho, they found reinforcement in running away to other dogs.
It's probably one of my biggest frustrations of doing puppy assessments is trying to make people foresee these problems.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like you touched on it a minute ago, the safety and comfort part, often the dog doesn't want to leave your side. Okay, I'll let him off then.
Yeah.
But at what point is it not okay? And then, you spend... it's hard to put an age on it, isn't it? But even if your dog on the long line or flexes till 18 months old, if it's going to live to 10, 15 years old, it's worth getting that groundwork in.
Yeah.
It's worth not rushing.
I think what you said there in terms of trying to convince people to be proactive.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I know your dog currently is good off a lead.
Yeah.
But it's likely that they will not be in the forthcoming couple of months. So put him on a lead now, so when he does go and try and find reinforcement elsewhere, you're going to stop that, turn the dog round back at you, and not allow the dog to get into bad habits.
Yeah, bang, yeah.
But, no one has a magic ball, and people...
No.
You'd like to give the dogs benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And it applies in all things other than recall, doesn't it? But it's hard to convince people, or it's hard for them to foresee problems. I suppose we're fortunate and
We're
unfortunate.
obviously like
and see,
amazing sick dog trainers and behaviourists, so like we can see it. It's really fucking easy for us. But
Yeah, look how you lays down there.
yeah. Look, we haven't budged.
Obviously, we're in a fortunate and unfortunate position of seeing this happen a lot. So we see dogs that have gone through a process, and sometimes people think, oh, it's literally just changed overnight, whereas really it's been on a tangent to get to this point.
Yeah.
And if had you done something 3 months ago and just changed some rules a little bit, you probably wouldn't have got to this point. But it's hard for people, even when you actually speak to them in person, it's hard for them to think, nah, that's not going to happen to my dog.
Maybe their dogs, but
Maybe
not my dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, if someone brings us a dog at that age of 8 months or whatever, or younger, and they're running around off a lead and they're coming back when they're called, we have seen a dog of that breed, of that temperament, that it's not gone quite right.
Yeah.
And we can say, listen, look at this dog, Luna.
Yeah.
It's just like your Bella here. And, so.
Luna Bella. Yeah. So I suppose that's probably the hardest bit, isn't it? Convincing people. So we've started our puppy course today.
We did start our puppy course.
So you'll have a good opportunity of creating a crack unit of puppies.
Yeah.
Because hopefully they're going to
level puppies
have
that
it
are just going to
drilled
be
week
turned
and
out.
week and week and week. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, a common theme of that course and what we're trying to absolutely instill in everyone is just expose your dogs to new things, get them everywhere, but make sure you're holding as much value as you can.
Yeah.
And making sure they're not you're not inadvertently creating too much value over dogs and people and things like that, because ultimately that will affect how easy the process of 100% recall is going to be, or a high likelihood recall is going to be, of how your dog perceives the world around them.
100%. It also, you did that post on the barrier of frustration. It just exasperates that as well. Like, recall failed, right, bang them on the lead. Well, normally I can do this, and then you end up in a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Like
and and that's a good point. You can even... this question here can be exasperated. I know maybe sounds a bit dramatic, but there's a problem here could lead to full-blown aggression. If your dog spends very little time off a lead and starts running up to other dogs and is finding loads of value in other dogs, your thought process then, okay, I need to put my dog on a lead because he's run up to the wrong dog and maybe got himself bit, or he's just having so much fucking fun you cannot bring their attention back to you, so you have to revert to a lead. Now, because if you've used the lead so little and not taught your dog about the lead, that's just going to wind them up, because the precedent has been, I've been off a lead and I've done what I wanted. Now you suddenly go, right, okay, we're on a lead now because I can't trust you to, I can't trust you to not come back. Immediately that leads to a very, very frustrated dog. And if you've not put enough lead work in and taught the dog the concept of a lead, or taught your dog that there's a lot of value at you, and all those things that we spoke about on that post, we have seen dogs that are happy-go-lucky dogs that just want to run around and play with other dogs boil over into full-blown what you would perceive as aggression. Yeah. Or in some aspects, actual real aggression.
That's also hard to convince people about.
Yeah.
And obviously I always tie the frustration into the rage system of your states and all that kind of stuff in it. But it's still difficult for people to say, well, how can my happy dog actually get annoyed? Well, he's essentially going to have a paddy on the lead like a kid in a supermarket. And it can be dramatic. It really can.
Yeah. We've seen some consults with dogs that their response to another dog on a lead, you would put a lot of money that dog would attack that other dog.
You would, yeah.
But a month ago, they were running up to every dog in the park wanting to play.
Yeah.
And that frenzy, tantrum as you described it, does come from a place of, I'm not allowed to get to something I really want to get to.
Frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the spinning wheel of death on a Macintosh.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want to smash my computer.
As you get on the Xbox, the ring of death. Yeah.
I think I was like Sega Master System.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. You think you'd just fucking around with an abacus somewhere, mate?
That would frustrate me.
Ooh, maths! You had one of those balls on a string. That's all you were doing. I'm playing GTA and you were just like trying to catch a fucking cup and skipping rope and shit. Back in the 40s.
Let's digress quickly and come at me a bit.
Yep, sorry, yeah. Whoosh. You got to have a bit of old banter, haven't you?
Okay, so if people have run into this problem, do you know what we could do? We could
really
snapshot all the inquiries we get when it's around 7-8 months recall gone, make them anonymous, anonymity, and literally put them somewhere for people to see. We're not making it up.
I feel like we're on our soapbox all the time with it. He's gone. See it?
Whoa, terrible.
Yeah, you can turn it off. Range.
Best friend
Come
of
back.
my CS.
No, come here.
I suppose then the potential fix.
Yeah.
Is there a fix?
Yeah, there is a fix, but before we go through the fix, prevention is better than the cure.
Oh yeah.
Prevention is better than the cure, and it saves you a lot of bollock ache by getting it right the first time round.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is why it does sound like we're on the soapbox when it comes to these sort of things. And when I'm doing puppy consults, and you'll be the same, and Maddie will be the same, Dan will be the same, and when we're doing our puppy course, is avoid these issues that don't look like issues until they are issues.
Yep.
Prevention is better than the cure. But then we've got some clients, and I had to work with some clients that haven't got it right first time round, and then are trying to cure it. So what is the cure?
Long.
Yeah.
I suppose I've been in a fortunate position of obviously with Blumens, having to train his recall, Whippet, Spaniel,
sorry man.
Which took a heck of a lot of doing. But then on the flip side, I've had puppies where I applied essentially your principles, and I think with Fern, I did, because he used the clicker so much, devalued everything else so much. In one session of whistle, she was mega.
Yeah.
Like literally, toot, she'd do a 6. What are you going to do? 180, not 360. That was the same way.
Yeah.
A 180 turn
you've
from
done
like.
a 360, Fern. You're going the same way. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Do a 180 from a dog, whatever, and bang, because proactivity.
Because of the dog wasn't that important, because of the socialization process was done right. So I guess how you socialize your puppy will have a massive influence on how easy your dog is to recall.
It's tied together.
If you get massively. Because I've never done a formal recall with Stark, I guess.
No.
Like a hear or a come command per se.
Yeah.
I've said stop running that way and then come into another behaviour, but I've not overly had to, because it holds very little value in the environment.
Yeah.
And of course we will go through that when we need to, but you did the same with Fern, of just listen, the world around you is not that exciting. Like you've seen it all, you've done it all. Like dogs aren't that great, people aren't that great, bikes aren't that great, like ducks and pigeons and shit, they're not that fun to chase because you've never done it and found loads of value out of it.
Is he looking
right?
straight?
You just like your dad.
You vain bugger. Straight at camera.
Why?
Yeah.
So the cure is, I guess, you have to rebuild motivation, because these dogs that are frustrated over other dogs and such, they're usually fairly low motivated towards the handler, right?
Yep.
So you have to do that. You have to fulfill them, because they're obviously looking for something they're going to get out of that dog.
Is it going to be Primula?
And it's definitely not going to be Primula. You're not going to find any success
Lactose
in this process
man.
by looking for the high value treats.
No.
Or the highest value of treats. Range.
He's alright. It's hydrating me.
You gotta be good, mate. You can't just show them what you really like, pretending. Eh?
He's a paid actor.
So you have to, typically, if you've got a frustrated dog or a dog that's buggering off towards other dogs or squirrels, they're looking for fulfillment from that source. So you need to give them a source of fulfillment. We do that through the means of play. So building their play drive, fulfilling them through the means of play, building their food motivation. So we're able to pay them for engagement with us, captivation with us.
Excuse me.
Changing equipment. So the equipment that they're on, whether that's a collar or a harness, is typically poisoned because they've learned to pull through it, and if anything, it's learned to instigate a reaction towards the other dog. So changing that is always a good idea, and coming up with something fresh and associating that with reinforcement.
Yeah.
Teaching them how to turn pressure off.
Yep.
I was talking about recall, I guess. Well, going back on a long line, stopping reinforcement from third parties. You're not going to get your problem solved by just busting out some treats and hoping they come back. You
No.
have to say you're not allowed
Hope
to
and
go
pray,
over
it's
there.
not- yeah, you can-
pick
yeah.
something else.
And I think even like the fully force-free community like will block a dog essentially
Yeah.
with a lead.
Just
Like it's
stop going over there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got to. You got to. You can't not.
So yeah, build a bit of drive for food. Get play teed off, looking
Yep.
good. What else? With management, don't let the dog practice it,
Yeah.
which is what people don't get, because it's like, right, you've got a dog with so much freedom or has had so much freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah.
You've had a dog with so much freedom, you're gonna have to kick this dog on a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he does a 3-hour walk off a lead every day. Well, he's got to do it on a lead now.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
if you can't guarantee your dog's not going to come back, you're going to go one step forward, 2 steps back, one
Yeah.
step forward, 2 steps back. And it's going to become intermittently rewarding of running off to that other dog.
Which is even worse.
Which is even worse, which will make the unwanted behaviour, or the behaviour you want to go away, stronger. So consistency is key. Lead goes back on. There's all the mechanics you can go through with food and logistics with food to increase their food drive, and obviously play comes into it. And then, yeah, there's a lot of mechanics in the methods of doing it, but conceptually, I guess those are the big ones, aren't they?
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
how are you
nice.
going to answer this question, to summarise, for this person?
I'm going to point them in the direction of this.
Yeah.
This dribble that we've churned out.
7-month-old dog, perfect recall. He's now come up to a year old. So that means probably from the age of 6 months to a year old, he's been running off a lot and
Yep.
finding success.
Yep.
So there's a history of reinforcement there. That history of reinforcement, aka behavioural bank account, needs to be closed as of today. So stop running away by utilising a long line flex lead or whatever. And then you've got to look at, is the dog motivated, is the dog fulfilled? So there's a lot more to go. There's a lot more to unpack there than just
Yeah.
the mechanics of teaching a dog how to recall. Like, it's easy to blow a whistle, deliver food, blow a whistle,
100%.
deliver food.
Yeah.
That's not going
And
to
all
improve
dogs
your
will
dog's
do that. That dog from that question will do that in the right place,
in the absence of the
Yeah.
things that,
in a vacuum or whatever. Like it's easy to teach any dog anything. You could probably do it in a day with most dogs, couldn't you? Teach a skill.
Yeah.
But obviously, the generalising of that skill with the presence of competing motivators is the
Yeah.
gold.
I've got a
That bit?
word of warning that I would give people that are in this position that I've been trying to go through with clients quite a lot. That is, you don't get these rented dog parks, right?
Yep.
And for people that don't have a dog with good recall,
Yep.
they go to these dog parks, which is a great idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Let them off lead because they cannot get up to no good.
Been there, yeah.
However, they can practice ignorance
Yeah,
for future when you do let them off a lead.
yeah.
So when you go to those places, practice your recall with a long line.
Yep.
If you use a long lead everywhere but that place, and when your dog is there, you give them full freedom, but you have not got perfect recall,
Got you.
you will teach your dog, when you do not feel that long line on you, you have permission to ignore me.
Yep.
And you will instill that every week. So
Yeah,
when
that
you
makes
get
sense.
to the phase of taking the long line away, your dog's going to go, I've seen this picture before,
Yeah.
I'm going to bugger off because
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
have control
nice.
over me anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas they should be taking the long line there and practicing the recall.
Yeah.
By all means, when you get to the point of proofing recall without any equipment on, go to
Start
that
there,
place
yeah,
and
for
use
sure.
and do whatever method you want to use to
And I
utilize that.
suppose, like, if you're going to go and use them, go there, practice your recall with your long line on, let them off to do stuff, but just don't try and recall
Just
them.
don't ask them to do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they want to play, you know, like I used to go with Blue and Rio.
I suppose they
like-
have to come back eventually, though.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
a danger there.
I suppose that's where.
So maybe do some formal stuff,
Yeah.
then chuck them on a trail line.
Yeah,
And then when you want to
yeah,
go, you step on your trail line, you pick it up and take the
Yeah.
dog in.
And that's probably also the value of you saying by getting them playing better. Because once Blue was messing around with the tennis ball, I just pulled a tennis ball out and he was going to come back. I didn't actually recall him, but
Yeah.
he's coming back.
Yeah. But I think people aren't maybe aware of the concept of learnt ignorance and asking your dog to do something and being not able to enforce that something happens will poison your recall. So
Yeah.
when we do recall here, we usually change the word or phrase because
Yeah.
of that
It's probably
formal word or
fail,
phrase
yeah.
has been used to the point that the dog has learnt it means nothing.
Yep.
So when people say, oh, we're going to do some whistle recall. Oh, I've already used the whistle. We say, okay, fuck that. We're not going to use the whistle then because of chances are you've taught that this recall cue of the whistle is optional.
Yeah.
So we need something fresh.
Yeah, nice.
That's the answer. That's sorted. Your cockapoo's
Cured.
fine. Yeah. But yeah, it's really difficult because people, the game of social media is to answer these questions in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It's not
being
10
able-
seconds.
Without
no.
compartmentalising the dog's life and unpacking everything, you're not going to answer that question, unfortunately. That's without going into the mechanics of actually doing it.
Physically doing it,
Yeah, there's got to be consideration of the history of reinforcement, the methods, like how poisoned their cues are or aren't, what the relationship the dog has with other dogs. Again, whether they're fulfilled, and whether their relationship with equipment even.
Yep.
Yeah, you know.
Like you can tell when you get a dog in and it's had a flexi lead accident.
Yeah.
It ain't coming back.
No.
So when you put the flexi on, it's just like, no.
Yeah.
So then long line's better, isn't it? Or,
Yeah.
I love a flexi lead, but if there can be an element of trauma with it, can there? If they've been hit in the back of the head by a spring-loaded lead.
Yeah. Any considerations to take away before we wrap it up? We said this would be a short one. We can keep him short. I suppose everything would start with building food motivation. And we will have a food guide available to purchase online at some point.
It's a dirty sell. Yeah, but again, like you say, it's dog specific, isn't it? Some keep circling back to Blue, but his food motivation has never been not there.
Yeah.
But he didn't know how to play with people. He knew how to jump on kitchen worktops with tea towels in his mouth.
Yeah, nice.
So until he was playing,
He still does that though, doesn't he?
he doesn't do it.
It's a crock nowadays. Yeah.
With a croc, not tea towels. He's left those behind, but
Tea
the
towel
Crocs,
days are over.
Crocs feel nicer in the
Touch a
in the
tea towel in years. Yeah, fuck. Get that tea towel away from me. I can't even look at a tea towel. It's an addiction, man. It's a real addiction.
The tea
I'm
towels
addicted
now.
to that dopamine a tea towel gives me. It's just the same as crack.
Yeah.
Crack towel.
Wrap it up.
Dog goes back on a long line. You do lots of practice of recall, even when you are able to let your dog fully off a lead.
Yeah.
Because of when the dog can still practice ignorance whilst there's nothing around.
Yeah. I
So
think that's
people get rid of
yeah.
equipment when there's nothing around, knowing that the dog is safe.
Yeah.
However, that's just going to delay the process, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So there's lots of reps, lots of generalization, lots of doing it everywhere, and then start introducing controlled work. But yeah,
Nice.
consider motivation, consider relationship with equipment, consider play, fulfillment. Because for the most part, my dogs aren't going to run off to another dog to go and seek fulfillment, because we do a lot of toy-based training and stuff. Daily. So frequently, not a great volume of, but frequently.
Yeah.
So their prey drive is expressed that way, so they don't need to seek it elsewhere. You know, I don't need to be... I can't use this analogy, actually. Probably not. Do we have a piece? Do you ever...
Go on.
Put that one on Patreon. Yeah, okay, that'll be us for today. Hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any questions, send them in, fire them in. We're happy to answer any questions. That maybe we'll do a Q&A next time. We'll tell some stories. Trying to get our mate Jack Harrison on for like an interviewee one.
Football yarns,
We'll
won't
do a
he?
football one. We love soccer.
And if he doesn't, we'll make him up.
We'll
Never
make
let
him
the
up.
truth get in the way of a good yarn.
Ever, never. And I think we should interview Maddie as well. That'd be good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
She's got a really
She's famous,
interesting
really.
history. She
Yeah.
is famous. 3 times Crufts champion.
Bang.
How many times have you won Crufts?
Oddly, no.
No, 5 grand final rings, but
Yeah,
you didn't do that with a
can't
poodle,
sell-
did you?
Can't find him.
No,
Yeah.
lost. So yeah, that'll be us, and we'll see you next time. We're going to try and do this weekly. How often are we doing this? You decide.
More regular than yearly.
Yeah, we'll try and up the frequency a bit better than once
There
a
we
year.
go.
So.
This is a wallop.
Bye.